Everyone hear me okay? Okay, started. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Les Judy Sheets at the table here, and Lauren Fox, Judy's right, is Jerry Hickman here with the black mask is with Reedy Financial, and Michael Bell here in the corner is with Reedy Financial as well. There are councilmen on the city council here, Eric Woods, the city services here, and Todd Point, who is the utility superintendent. This is the fourth. Clarence. Oh, I'm sorry, Clarence, I missed you. This is the fourth of six informational outreach meetings that the city has planned to provide information and to answer questions and address concerns property owners might have are within the territory. We will address those concerns. Various questions that have been submitted by email that we will respond to as well. Most of you have been water and sewage utilities along the State Road 28 corridor out to the interchange with Interstate 65. That has been viewed as an economic development project. It moves capturing the development that will come with the traffic that flows through that area on Interstate 65. So we are in the process of that now, and you'll notice that the infrastructure has been commenced for construction of the water and sewage utility out to that area. The city has not taken any official action yet as to this annexation, other than to suggest a proposed and a fiscal plan has been submitted. A new ordinance has been introduced for annexation. The public hearing has been held, and there will be an additional round of notices going out to the property owners as well. We do have maps on the wall here that show the territory that is at this time proposed to be annexed. That will not be increased, but it can be decreased. And I guess I will turn the meeting over to Mayor Sheets at this time to make any comments that she would hear tonight.
First of all, I want to just welcome everyone here today. As Les said, this is the fourth meeting of six that we're going to be having for the public. We're going to provide you with information from our legal counsel along with our financial consultants. And any questions that you might have or concerns, we're going to answer for you. We want to hear from you. It is important to us that we know what you would want as well as us. We have not taken any official action, will not take any official action until after these 6 meetings are over. We have department heads here, we have council members here, and Jason Forsythe is our family street department. I encourage you that you want to know about. It's important to us that we hear from you as well as you hear from us. At this time, I'm going to have Lauren Fox from Barnes & Thornburg speak with you from the legal side.
Well, thank you so much. As Les indicated, my name is Lauren Fox. I'm an attorney at Barnes & Thornburg. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the process, and myself, along with the others here, are going to try to answer any questions that you have. So as the mayor indicated, this is the fourth of 6 meetings, and there were some recent changes in the annexation statute. And one of those changes was requiring municipalities to hold these meetings. And the purpose of the meetings really are to hear your comments, any concerns or questions on what the city has proposed for the annexation, whatever the city might ultimately introduce as an annexation ordinance. So we really hope that you will ask questions or you will ask for clarification, anything we can do to help you understand this. But I'll say it one more time. The city has not yet taken final action. So there has not yet been an annexation ordinance drafted. The map is still subject to possibly change. We really do want to take the information we're receiving today and to incorporate that and help refine what the city ultimately does. So why are we even here today? Why is the city considering annexing this property? I think the simple answer is that the city wants to position itself to take advantage of the economic development along the island. There is a requirement under Indiana law for contiguity, and what that means is you actually have to touch that property. So by annexing this portion of property, the city is setting itself up in the future to be able to do that. One thing I would note, and I mentioned that there were some changes to the annexation statute. In the past, we would have been able to do just a right-of-way annexation, but with the new changes to the law, you now have to annex territory along one side of the public highway. So that's why you'll see the territory, the boundaries, as you will. The purpose of this annexation, and I've said it in every meeting, and I will continue to say it, is that we're really trying to have as minimal impact as possible. And we really have tried to narrowly focus the annexation territory so that we really are minimally impacting the landowners in the territory. One comment I wanted to make sure to make, because we know there were some questions about this, and that's how agricultural property is treated. So if your property is assessed agricultural, it will continue to be assessed and will remain agricultural property, and it does not matter if you sell the property, it doesn't matter if you try to pass on the property through inheritance, that is not going to change. There is, if you did pick up one of the packets at the back of the room, there is an Indiana code site in there that explicitly states the only way for that classification to be changed is for the landowner to consent to that change. So if it's something you decide to do in the future, could make that decision, but until then, that is not going to change. Another thing I wanted to explicitly point out is that agricultural processes ultimately should not have an impact on you from a tax standpoint. Kind of in the same vein as having a minimal impact, the city has made the determination to delay the effective date of the ordinance for 3 years. So what that means is that the annexation ordinance becomes a determination to delay the effective date of the ordinance for 3 years. So what that means is that the annexation ordinance itself will not go into effect until spring of or the first tax assessment would be spring of 2025, and then the first tax bill would not be until May of 2026. So wanted to make sure I made that clear, and along with that 3-year delay, I know that there have been some questions about how and when services will be extended. So I wanted to make sure it will be available, the city department heads will be available as well. But wanted to make sure to point out that under Indiana law, we are required to extend services within 1 year of the annexation ordinance becoming effective. So that means if it's effective in spring of 2024, for non-capital services, those will be extended in the next year, so by 2025, and then for non-capital services, that's 3 years. So a little bit real quick about the process. As I mentioned, this is the 4th of 6 outreach program meetings. So at the end of these meetings, the city will ultimately make a determination to introduce an annexation ordinance. And with that ordinance, there will be the final map of the territory, and there will also be a fiscal plan that is introduced and finalized, and that will detail what services are going to be extended, how they're going to be extended, and how those services will be paid for. After that first meeting of introducing the ordinance, there will then be notice that's given to landowners about a public hearing. So that notice will include a lot of information, but it will ultimately notify you that there is going to be a public hearing on the annexation ordinance that you can go and attend and testify if you so wish. So the council, as you guessed, will then hold a public hearing, and then a month or 2 months after that, they will vote to adopt the annexation ordinance. There is then a remonstrance period, and what that means is Landowners have the opportunity, if they want to sign a remonstrance petition. And if 65% of landowners in the territory sign that petition, then the annexation is done. If 51% sign, then ultimately the annexation goes to a court hearing and it will be determined in a court of law. It's a review of a fiscal plan and that sort of process. So if no remonstrance is filed, then ultimately the annexation ordinance will be final upon the termination of that remonstrance period. Okay.
Thank you, Lauren. As Lauren mentioned, I'm Jerry Nixon from Reed Financial Group. I have Michael Bell with me as well. We're here to answer any questions that you guys may have, tax impact wise. As we did in the previous 3 meetings, we're just going to quickly go over how to calculate a tax bill. We do have every single one of these within the proposed annexation area calculated. So after the meeting, after the Q&A session, if you guys want to come over to us and if you have a specific question on your tax bill, we'd be more than happy to show you what your specific impact would be. So the first page is the parking slide. How do we calculate property tax bills? Big picture wise, it is net assessed value times the tax rate divided by 100 because it's taxed on per $100 of assessed value equals your property tax. So in this situation, obviously you guys aren't currently paying the city rate, so that would be an added layer of your tax bill. So that's what the impact would be. In order to get to net assessed value, there's other certain adjustments which we can go over in the next few pages here. So the second page, from gross AD to net AD, this is mainly 1% properties, which is your homesteads. That's where you're going to get your deductions, which we have these listed here. The first one, the main one, is your homestead. That ends up being the less $45,000 or 60% of your gross assessed value. If you have a mortgage on the home, you can get a $3,000 deduction there. Supplemental is the calculation. You have to take the gross AD, subtract out the homestead, and that's awesome. As far as exemptions, the big one here, as I mentioned, would be agricultural exemption. No tax impact as long as it's assessed as active. That's a big exemption. Those are also exempt. Government owned properties, not for profit, those are also exempt. Phased in 2008, 2009, essentially it was a major benefit to taxpayers on your total tax would be. Depending on the property that you have, there's different levels of what that's happening. So homesteads are capped at 1%. So if your assessed value, your gross assessed value, say $100,000, the most that you can pay on your property tax bill, 1% of that would be $1,000. 2% would be ag, rentals, rental homes. So if you have other homes that aren't your homestead, those are capped at 2%. So $2,000 of $100,000 gross assessed value would be about. And then 30% would be businesses or industrial. And then there's also a 65.2%. Anything above and beyond that would just be a circulating credit, and the taxpayer actually will not pay. And then the last page, we actually have an example. We decided to use $150,000 homestead so that we could capture deductions as well. So you start off with $150,000 assessed value. Subtract out the deductions that we mentioned, that gets you to your net assessed value. You take that times county, township, school, cities, per $100 assessed value. Clifton County, they do have a property tax relief. What that is, anybody working, getting a paycheck, there's a deduction that comes out of that. collected, and then during the tax bill process, it's applied as a credit. And that's what this next line is. That credit ends up being almost $450. Subtract that from this tax bill, it gets you to your adjusted bill of $1,925. And then this is when we factor in the subsequent cap, the 1% of $150,000, you see $1,500. And that's the most that you pay. So there actually ends up being a subsequent credit of $255. I know that's a lot of information to digest at once, but we do have everything discussed. Questions that you have. That being said, are there any other questions that you want to see?
Cost of water and sewer. There will be no fees connected within 6 months following completion of construction. Does the landowner have to connect with all services? Property owners with working wells and septic systems will not be required to connect to the city water. What are the expected costs to use the services? Water is a base charge of $10.28 a month, which includes 4 units of water. There's a $2.57 per unit after the first 4 units, which is at a base rate of $11.60 a month and $5.45 per unit. Will the server and sanitary services be separate? The two will come separated on one bill. And the fifth question was, if we have to hook up the services provided by the city, can we then fill our retention pond, drains go into the pond, fill the pond, additional storm? So those are some questions that have come in recently. Does anyone have any other questions to address myself or Warren? Yes, sir.
Will the input from these meetings have any effect on the vote of annexation, or are they just a formality that you have to do?
Well, these are informational meetings, and we hope to, as we indicated earlier, address any concerns, answer any questions, and provide information that's relevant. But whether it has any impact will be up to the property owners themselves, I believe.
I've got some comments. I've been to 3 of these meetings. This is the 4th. Finally, this is the last one that I can go to. So you guys get rid of me for the rest of these meetings, but that's besides the point. One thing that you all said multiple times during the 3 meetings is take advantage of. So I looked that up. It says to make use of or gain. It also says to oppose upon, especially unfairly, as exploited a weakness. Especially unfairly, as exploited a weakness. To take advantage of someone. I think that second definition fits this case a little bit more appropriately. The city of Frankfort is taking advantage of a remonstrance waivers that is signed in Jefferson annexed out to I-65. They're also taking advantage of an interlocal agreement with the county to allow the county to pay for infrastructure out to the interchange for 30+ years. Only to take ownership of that after the debt is paid. That's in your guys' interlocal agreement that was signed in May of last year. The other thing that's kind of hit home with these 3 is the minimal impact. To allow the waiver dam landowners automatically outnumber and outvalue the unwavered. Even if that wasn't the case, as in previous meetings, the proposed map can change. So all you gotta do is cut the unwavered AV for the number of owners out. Seems like pretty much a slam dunk. The problem is that Frankfort doesn't realize that Wilson Trailer Sales, Performance Ag, UK, they didn't come to be a part of Frankfort. two first ones, Wilson and Performance, came to avoid higher taxes in Boone County and Lebanon. There are many other businesses looking at this interchange. If you ask Shane Sheridan or anybody else that's working on economic development in this area. I'll be quite honest with you, I think they're probably pumping the brakes a little bit because of Frankfurt's aggressive behavior out at the interchange. If this annexation moves forward, I predict that the south side of the corridor will develop at a much faster rate than the north side. It could also spur development west, thus handicapping the land values of the people that are left in Frankfurt. I believe that the county is better equipped to develop the infrastructure in the area. With just the narrow strip that you guys want to take, you're leaving out all the roads. The roads that create redundancy for the development out there, whether, let's say 65 gets gummed up with construction on the north side. Well, they can go to 52, get out there. 800 West provides travel on 52 both north and south of the interchange. The county could develop that, make that 4 lanes, make it easier. But if this goes through, I'm gonna be quite honest with you, the county officials might not want to improve that road. The other concern that I've got, and Mayor, we've talked about this, and we're in disagreement about this, is the West State Road Corridor Overlaying Zone. I feel the county's area plan is better equipped to make the longevity of the corridor, to make it more consistent and fair treatment between after you're done being mayor, regardless of how many terms that is. Somebody else gets to appoint somebody that gets to monitor Frankfurt's part of how that gets put together. Without control of the outside infrastructures, mainly roads in this area, how does Frankfurt contribute to growth and development? I really don't think that they do. Frankfurt Fire is already present in Washington Township. The sheriff deputies are at 1 of 3 places at all times on the west side of this county. Stop over at the interchange. One thing that was thrown out at the last meeting was how much cheaper the trash services are. Trash service for people out in the corridor that's proposed to be annexed is about $15 to $20 a month. These guys at the cost of doubling their taxes. The people that live in this annexed area chose to live there for the services that the county provides, not in lieu of becoming a city, becoming part of the city and getting provided with those services. I got a few more things here. With the laws today, the involuntary annexation of any additional area in the interchange would be nearly impossible. And the only way that it today is possible is through the waiver process. You guys know it. These guys are figuring it out. Forced annexations are ugly. I think it's going to destroy the relationships between the county and the city. I know that there's a chip on the shoulder of most of these residents of Jefferson. At the end, this shouldn't be a decision to annex because we can take advantage of the situation. It should be a decision that this is the continuation of the city of Frankfurt. And I don't think that 60% of the annexed area of the farm ground is a continuation of Frankfurt. It essentially doubles the amount of farm ground in Frankfurt. Also, annexation should not be a narrow strip. That's kind of why they eliminated the right-of-way deal. There's about 2.5 to 3 miles where you guys are only taking one parcel north to south along the corridor. I don't expect any explanations. I don't expect anything. I'm just voicing my frustration and the frustration of many of the people that are in the annexed area. They felt like they've been slighted, felt like they've been taking, I mean, there's no possible way that you're gonna allow a monster to go through. I mean, it'd be silly to use the map that you got, even if it was close. I've done the numbers, I've looked at it, I did the numbers after the first meeting, we released it. You know, I just caution you that I think it's gonna be bad for development out there, and I'm not against development at all. I'm really not. I don't have a lot of skin in the game out there, I farm out there. But, you know, these people have organized, and I've been put the task here, so. I hope you guys decide that this ain't a great idea. You take your lawyers and your consultants and tell them thanks but no thanks. We're gonna work with the county and we're gonna develop this together and do the right thing for the citizens of Jefferson, for the citizens of Clinton County, because it affects every taxpayer in Clinton County. You're taking away Lowett money. It's just, it's not right. You know, it is. It's taking advantage. You're taking advantage of a remonstrance favor to gain miles and miles of annexation. That's all I've got this morning.
Thank you, sir. Your comments are noted. Are there any other additional comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering if the farmland stays farmland and whatever, why are we doing anything out there? Because one of us wants to sell, what are you gaining from all of this?
Is to extend the city boundaries out to the interchange so that further development.
But who's going, I'm saying, if no farmer's going to sell, what are you going to develop out there?
Well, you're right. If the farmer doesn't want to sell his ground, that will not be the point. There will be no impact on the agricultural land whatsoever.
So in other words, if nobody wants to sell, you're putting all this out there, spending all this money for nothing.
Well, we don't see it that way. We see it as an economic
Well, I
project.
see then that you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna come and offer you X amount of dollars to, try to entice everybody to sell so that you can build. I have lived there 70 years or almost 70 years. I do have, where we live right now is to the south of 28. It's been in the family farm for over 100 years. I don't have a little plaque, but you know, it has been and everything. So it's kind of like, I feel really upset that we have men and people over this that have been in the family forever and ever. And I'll have to say, one of my cousins was a professor at Kentucky in agriculture, wrote a it used to be called before we were gravel road. And that's my family, so I'm kind of neat to see all of that in the way. My brother, my nephew, and niece are farming and have been forever, so it's kind of like, I'll give you an example. We had a guy one time come out with his four-wheeler and was just going through the fields. I stopped him and asked him why he thought he could do that or he had permission. Oh, I just thought it was anybody. I could do whatever I wanted. I said, that's the same. So it's kind of like you're coming and saying, you don't matter. This is, I just don't appreciate it because as you say things, it's not like if this is going to happen, whether our talking here matters at all. It's like they said, well, this will pass, but when we present it, it will pass and go on, and that's not letting us have a vote.
This annexation.
All these, right now, I used to have a terrific view out my window. Now I have a terrific view of NHK, you know. And if that's what comes around, right now we're a 4 mile from the natural gas station.
And probably once a week, we get very toxic fumes from the natural gas station. And that's another story, but they didn't make that right because the waterfall was in our land and drowned out more. But, it's just like, we don't have a say, so it's basically all done before we even get involved in it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
How many of you were born and raised in Clayton County? None of you? One? As Dan said, our family owns property that was acquired back in 1826 when Clayton County opened up from the reservation and people acquired property. We still have that farm ground, and thank God it's not out where you wanted to annex, but my father's property is. And if you don't have that farm ground, and thank God it's not out where you wanted to annex, but my father's property is. And if you haven't lived here your whole life and your family came here back in 1826, you'll understand how we feel about the property that we have. Okay, I know that you guys have your economic development plans. You have your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, maybe up to your 3rd-year plan. So this right here is your plan for annexation town. I want to know what your next level out is. In 20 years, how much more are you going to annex? In 30 years, how much more?
There are no additional annexation plans at this time.
But you said that you can change those lines anytime you want.
Okay, they can be reduced, they cannot get large.
Okay.
Any
This
other-
time, though, what about 20 years from now, when you want to do this again?
I don't know what will happen in 20 years from now, I'm sorry. You have different administration. That's your time to pass. There's always a turnover in personnel and changes in plans. So I cannot articulate it as to what will happen in 20 years from now.
Okay, but there's not turnover in people that own these lands.
Well, there can be, but you're right, oftentimes there's not. Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
So basically, we're all getting that the annexation will move forward. So when the annexation does move forward, all of us that are inside that, we're now considered Frankfurt. Are we considered Frankfurt, like in Frankfurt city limits?
You will be after the effective date.
So the ordinance of all of Frankfurt would apply. It stops wherever, Jimmy Johnson, all that stuff. That's not Frankfurt. But then we all get it out here, and we're supposed to have farmland and or have cattle, sheep, anything like that. What if we're trying to add that after the annexation? Now we're Frankfurt, and we have that or not? What's within your city ordinance about having
If you're
farmland?
zoned agriculture, you will come into the city of agriculture.
So you could have animals or
If you're not increasing the use that you had at the time of the effective date, then you should be fine.
but you can't.
I can do that. This has been a concern that's been raised in other annexations, and I can't believe it's been raised here. So in the annexation ordinance, when it's drafted, and you guys will all see a copy, there will be specific exemptions. We call them rural lifestyle exemptions, which basically will allow you to continue to use your property in the exact same way. You'll be exempt from what's currently in the city code that relates to those types of actions or decisions with your property that are applied to current city population. So you'll be able to review that. And if there are specific city ordinances that you have concerns about, we're happy to listen and we can certainly farm those out of the ordinance as well. So I do believe that it will not have an impact on your property, but again, if there's something specific, please let the city officials know and we can build that into the ordinance for you.
Okay, so I I'm completely unaware of any ordinance in Frankfurt because I live in Mulberry, so I'm trying to buy property, family property that's out there, that's included in the annexation. So to me, I'm buying this property without a Frankfurt ordinance that I'm completely unaware of. That now that's going to be basically dumped on me. So I don't have any of that information or knowledge. It's something I'll have to look up. So I have no idea what you're talking about on that stuff because
I thought you were concerned about something specific that you would.
I do not know any of the ordinance. I don't want to live in Frankfurt. So that is why I live either in Mulberry or Country, which is what I was trying to do. It's not that I hate Frankfurt, I just don't want to be a part of the city of Frankfurt. The reason I live in or where I'm looking for a future home. So,
There is something as you're looking at it or something that's raised to you that you have concern about, and please communicate those to us.
okay. I had another question, which I know has been touched on, this one, the last one, but I'm still kind of vague on it. Who determines if the working well is safe? Because a lot of them have wells, and as you guys, not you guys, but Jefferson had experience. They went out and said, oh, this is contaminated, you have to do this and this, or else you're out.
So it'll be.
Who are we sending out, or can we have our own person, or is it the city of Frankfurt is gonna send out their own personnel to do this?
It wouldn't be the, so the county health department regulates the septic side, it's regulated by the Indiana State Department of Health, and then on the water side, it would likely be the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. So it's regulated by state. So it's a public water supply regulation and a sewage disposal regulation by the Department of Health.
So is each well going to be assessed prior to this, so we know we have to, if we're being basically in a way like Jefferson forced it to tie into this, or are we just waiting it out until someone says something's not right with well? How is that?
I don't know that there's any plan to do that. I mean, certainly if there is some, for example, on the septic side, if there's some sort of failure that's going to cause a public health and safety issue, then of course the county would have to go out there, it would have to be assessed. But to my knowledge, and less here, it would have to be assessed. But to my knowledge, and less, maybe you can answer differently. There's no plan on behalf of the city to go individually inspect every single property.
Okay.
We just wanted to give people comfort who currently have sewage disposal systems or septic systems that are, approved by the Department of Health or working well, to know that we're not trying to force you to connect to the municipal utilities if you already have systems that work for you.
But if we don't connect, then we pay a higher price.
Well,
Because we get a tax break and all this if we are connected, and we get breaks within it, within that other documents.
I don't know, I don't believe that's
You'll
accurate.
save
but-
money if you're connected to, you guys somehow. But the big-
The connection fees are waiting 6 months after the project is done. After that, then the connection.
Yeah, so I think there is just some benefit to connecting if you want to in the first 6 months, but perhaps that benefit won't be there after 6 months. But wouldn't be precluded from connecting later if you chose to. You also wouldn't be forced to connect if you didn't want to.
Quick question, is that on the construction time, right? It's within 6 months of the completion?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. So if you build something and it's after the construction's complete, you're gonna have hookup fees regardless. So that, just so everybody knows that it's after the completion of the project, you have 6 months. So if there's any new building, it either has to be waived by the county, according to the interlocal agreement, or there's an extra fee.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, then I was gonna touch base on what you said about, building plans for the future. I'm just kind of confused on to why, if we're doing the annexation and we want economic growth out there, why don't we have a further plan as to what type of development you're trying to bring in? Why don't we have anything already set up that within 5 years, this factor is here, or this is, we're just rolling out our water and sewage and hoping to attract people to be out there to build. I mean, I just feel like if there was a plan, 5-year, 10-year, 25-year, within that, we might be able to make a better educated decision on what we would want to do anyways, because I'm trying to buy a forever home. But in 25 years, I don't want to be looking at factories when I'm thinking I'm buying a country home. That's not, it just doesn't make any sense as to why there's not a plan further out. I get personnel changes over constantly, as it does in any type of, you have elections, so people can adjust plans and make their own new plans, but shouldn't there be something that you have as a longevity plan, even if it's tentative, as to what you want to do out of that interchange?
I have no knowledge of economic development plans. Do you want to address that, Wes, or do you want somebody from the city to address it?
I think we touched on this question earlier. And yes, we have no 20-year plan. We're not sure what the map will be comprised of at this point. So once the annexation occurs, we plan on there being, once the annexation occurs, we plan on there being a plan for development. Right now, we're operating under county zoning and much of this elementary. Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering, we have a small partial that's in the annexation, but most of our land is not right now. If this goes through, and would we be on Jefferson then, where our other land, we couldn't say anything, have any say-so about it? I mean, Jefferson that has property, they can't say anything. Since we have just a little land there, if they came again, would that keep us from?
If you have property,
We have some that's in the annex.
I understand that if you have property that abuts the annexation area, you would later be able to be a part of the municipal corporation if you signed a voluntary petition for annexation.
I think what her question is,
I would not want to sign it, but.
well, so this is, I think what she's worried about is a remonstrance waiver, correct? Once you're in,
Yes.
you're in.
Yeah.
But you can, so your parcel that is outside, let's say that they try an involuntary annexation, then you have all the same rights like you were out. You didn't waive your rights to remonstrate by being a part of.
But Jerry and Mike are here if any property owners want to talk to them about what the annexation would lead to your particular property in terms of property taxes. Thank you all for coming.
And also, I want to encourage everyone, we have council members here, we have department heads, you're welcome to come up and talk to me, Les, Lauren, Jerry. We're concerned as well. I just came into office the 1st of March, so I'm learning a lot of this along with the rest of you. So I am very open to concerns, comments, questions. I'm getting an understanding of all this as well. We've had some council members that have worked with this for some time. I wasn't a part of that. So if you have anything that I can't answer, I could refer you on to someone else that can maybe help you on those decisions.
Thank you.
What?